Good morning, students. Today I am going to discuss with you in detail about the European Union. After the end of the bipolar structure of world politics in early 1990s, it became clear that alternative centers of political and economic power could limit America's dominance. Thus, in Europe, the European Union, and in Asia, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, has emerged as forces to reckon with, while evolving regional solutions to their historical enmities and weaknesses. Both the EU and the ASEAN have developed alternative institutions and conventions that build a more peaceful and cooperative regional order and have transformed the countries in the region into prosperous economies. First of all, we will discuss about the establishment of European Union. The Maastricht Treaty established the European Union on 7th February 1992 after the collapse of Soviet Union. The foundation of EU led for a common foreign and security policy, cooperation on justice and home affairs, and the creation of a single currency. Next is European flag and its significance. As it is shown in the picture, the flag of European Union stands for the peaceful harmony among the European people. The circle of gold stars stands for solidarity and harmony between the nations, and the 12 stars of the flag symbolize the perfection, completeness, and unity. Now the question is there any possibility of becoming the member of European Union countries? The answer is yes. One can become the member of EU countries through the Schengen visa. Under the Schengen Agreement, one has to get a visa from one of the European Union countries, and that allows one entry in most of the other European countries. Next, we will discuss about the various steps that lead to the formation of the European Union. After the Second World War, the European states confronted the ruin of their economies and the destruction of the assumptions and structures on which Europe had been founded. They finally resolved their post-Second World War problems by forming an organization which is known as European Union. Now we will discuss the main points that led to the formation of the European Union. First one, United States launched a project called Marshall Plan to give financial aid to European countries for their economic reconstruction. About Marshall Plan we have already discussed in the first chapter. Under this plan, the Organization of European Economic Cooperation was established in 1948 to channel aid to the countries of Western Europe. In this way, OEEC became a forum where the Western European states began to cooperate on trade and economic issues. Next, in 1949, the Council of Europe was established. It was another step forward in political cooperation. To follow up the process of economic integration, European capitalist countries formed EEC, European Economic Community, in 1957. At the same time, in order to provide a political dimension to the process, European Parliament was created in 1979 for the political integration of European Community. Last, as we know, the collapse of the Soviet bloc in 1991 put Europe on a fast track and resulted in the establishment of European Union in 1992. Next topic is the European Union is more a nation state than as economic union. As we have already discussed, European Union was established in 1992 after the collapse of the Soviet Union. The European Union was started as an economic union, but over time it has evolved from an economic union to increasingly political one. Hence, the EU now has started to act more as a nation state, as it has tried to expand areas of cooperation while acquiring new members, especially from the erstwhile Soviet bloc. Besides, EU has its own flag, anthem, founding date, and currency. It has also some form of a union foreign and security policy in its dealings with other nations. Next, we will discuss about the European Union as a supranational organization, as this question is very important from both point of view. As a supranational organization, European Union has economic, political, diplomatic and military influence. First of all, we will discuss about the European Union as the biggest economy. The EU is the world's biggest economy with a GDP of more than $12 trillion in 2005, slightly larger than that of USA. The GDP of EU was worth 19 billion US dollars in 2019, according to the data from the World Bank and the projections from trading economies. Its currency, euro, is now in a position to threat the dominance of the US dollar. Not only this, its share of world trade is 3 times larger than that of the United States. Its economic power gives its influence over its closest neighbors as well as in Asia and Africa. It also functions as an important bloc in the international economic organizations such as WTO. Next, we will discuss EU's political and diplomatic influence. As we know, two members of the European Union, that is Britain and France, hold permanent seats in the UN Security Council. The European Union includes several non-permanent members of the UN Security Council. So this has helped the European Union to influence some US policies. Not only this, its use of diplomacy, economic investment and negotiation rather than coercion and military force has been effective, as in the case of dialogue with China on human rights and environmental degradation. Next is EU's military influence. Militarily, the EU's combined armed forces are the second largest in the world. Its total spending on defense is second after the US. Not only this, two EU member states, Britain and France, are also the nuclear arsenals of approximately 550 nuclear warheads. In respect of space and information technology, the organization stands at the second position next to USA in the world. We have discussed EU as a supranational organization, but there are odds or drawbacks that limits the ability of the European Union. Now we are going to discuss those points. First, British Prime Minister Tony Blair was America's partner in the Iraq invasion, and many of the European Union newer members made up the US-led coalition of willing, whereas Germany and France opposed American policy. Second one, the integrationalist agenda, also at odds, limits the EU's ability. For example, former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher kept the UK out of the European market. UK was the member of European Union from 1973 to 2020. In January 2020, UK opted to leave European Union. Third one, Denmark and Sweden have resisted the Maastricht Treaty and the adoption of the euro. So all these odds limits the ability of the European Union to act in matters of foreign relations and defense. So students, this is all about European Union. In my next video, I will discuss with you another center of power, that is ASEAN.